maybe more envelopes or more activities at tonight's event. So really, people have to come. And I've never seen anyone as most excited about the business, and maybe Jess and Mike and Mary Ann when they get excited about all the cargo that comes across. Well, now we really are here for what most of you have come out this morning, and to hear from our Chief of Police, Chief Jeri Williams. Been our chief since 2011, and has joined us from Phoenix, where her husband is also on the bench in Phoenix, I understand. You know, the city of Oxnard being one of the larger cities, or the largest city in Ventura County, obviously law enforcement and crime prevention are really critical things. And having a chief that basically understands the community, who takes time to come out and meet with the business community, the residents, who have ensured that her department is a community-based police department, is a great asset to the business community, and a great asset to people like myself as a resident of Oxnard. Many of us spend many years in public service. Nobody basically is appreciated more than those who are in the public service, who basically protect us and who basically put their lives out there each day on our behalf. And so with that, I'd like to have the chief come up and tell us great things that are happening.
So I just needed to make sure that that was going to work. Good morning to everyone. How are you? Good morning. It is clearing up. So, and my little buddy from the Lions Club. What was so funny about my husband's on the bench in Phoenix?
Well, because your son doesn't sit on the bench.
That is true. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Alan is the top basketball player at UCSB. Number 1 scorer in the league.
Yes.
That's why
So I could spend all day talking about my kids, but I won't do that today. We're definitely going to talk about our mission. I just want to say first and foremost, thank you to the Chamber for number one, for inviting me, Nancy, to come make the presentation. Today is a crazy day of talking to, meeting with, conversing with people about the good things that are going on with our agency and department. I think oftentimes if you read the Star, if you read the blogs, if you read whatever, there's so much bad press going on about crime in the city and crime in the nation and crime in the country. We're really doing great things here in Oxnard, and oftentimes we're not our best advocates. So I appreciate the invitation, the opportunity to meet with, talk with, speak with you all about what the Oxnard Police Department is doing. Secondly, when I speak, I always charge individuals that I'm talking to and speaking with to figure out what you can do to be a partner in crime suppression and in safety. So through the presentation, I'll throw in hints about some of the things that the business community can do, how you can get involved, and we certainly need all the help we can get with the Oxnard Police Department. So this presentation and this year, I always start off with the real crime picture. I've never been one to hide things, trying to hide what's going on. I definitely take responsibility and accountability for what I do because this job is very serious. So my job is to make sure that you and we are safe in our community, but at the same time, I have to make sure that the men and women who work with me go home safely to their families every night. And that's a very delicate balance sometimes, when there are really some pretty bad people out here in the community. Conversely, though, and we had a conversation at the table, you're going to see in the presentation about nextdoor.com. It's our new social media site where you can get on this site and be the advocate and the champion for your own community. Sometimes education is not necessarily powerful. Sometimes it turns into a fear factor. So we're not trying to scare you. What we're trying to do is inform you. How many of you would rather be informed about what's going on rather than not know what's going on? Absolutely. So that's pretty much what our presentation is going to talk about. Again, to Danny and Martin, thank you so much for being here. I always get a little bit nervous when my peers are here because they know the real me. The real me is the crazy person who sits at e-board and says all the things everyone else wants to say. So thank you all very much for being here. Just as far as department makeup goes, we have 400 people who work for our agency. 254 of those are sworn people. Thank you to those of you who voted for Measure O, so that's a hand clap for you guys in the audience. At any given time, that 254 sworn number can be 20 or 30 less, depending on how many vacancies we have. So right now, we stand at about 18 vacancies. But today, at 10 o'clock, we're going to have a promotional ceremony where I'll swear in 15. So somehow we're trying to create that balance to get enough people on the department. So like I said before, we're going to start off with a real crime picture. And the picture as it stands today, for a couple of decades, we had a decrease in crime. We had significant decreases in crime, and it actually happened in 2011 when I first started. We were so jazzed about the fact that, oh my gosh, we were down double digits. And then in 12, we saw a little bit of an uptick. And then lately in 2013, we saw a 23% increase in crime. And you're going to see on the next slide that property crimes is our primary driver of crime statistics. It's not necessarily violent crimes, it's definitely the property crimes. And a lot of those crimes you can take care of and not have happen to you if you're just being a little bit more proactive and a lot of it educated on what's going on. Lastly, at the bottom, it talks about the many factors that contribute to this increase in crime. And I don't know how many of you have heard about the post-release offender program. How many people have heard of that? Okay, thank you. That's the initiative AB 109 and another assembly bill that is dictating that prison overcrowding in the state of California would be better served by sending folks to the county level. Exactly, that's what I say too. Steve is sitting there shaking his head. What you'll find is that one of those factors that increase our crime are these AB 109 folks. Now, I will tell you today that I believe that there are some people who can change their life. There are some people who can be readjusted, who can be rewired for sound. But there are other people who are program resistant, is what I call it. And all they know, all they will do is just be criminals. So we're forced to deal with that interesting dynamic through 109. But as I said before, I'm definitely one to accept responsibility. And if crime is going up in your community and you don't feel safe, who should you look at to try to come up with a solution? I hope you look at me. I hope you look at us. And so definitely that's what we're trying to do. I always, again, like to show visual images of our picture in crime. And as you can see, you tell me where the little corner guy was, right? Okay. At the very end, that's larceny. And included in larceny are thefts from vehicles also. And what we're seeing in vehicle thefts is people are leaving valuables in their cars to be seen. So if you have an iPad, iPhone, anything with an I, and you leave it in your car, what do you think is going to happen? What you would hope to happen is no one is going to steal your stuff, right? I'm going to introduce you to the reality called life. And the reality of life is if something is easy to be taken and stolen, people will find a way to do it. So we're trying to educate and encourage the community not to leave valuables in the car. Ladies, I can be just as guilty as anyone else. Leaving your purse in the car, so bad, not a good thing. Actually, when you go to the grocery store and you think you want to get out of the car and lock your purse in the trunk, you think that's a wise thing to have someone see you do that either? Yeah, that isn't too wise either. So primarily what we're seeing as the main drivers are definitely our larceny, and this was through February. I think you all know now that we've had 2 more homicides since February, so we're up to 5. God knows don't want to be number 1 in that category, but of late we've been so. What our folks are working on doing, though, in the past, and I know Tom can talk about that as a retired assistant chief with Oxnard PD, we used to do these massive sweeps of people where we just go in a community and we just sweep a community and it's a big net and we bring folks in. What we found in law enforcement, and I've been talking to people throughout the country about sweeps, there are unintended consequences to sweeps. So let's say we're in Steve's community and we're going to sweep and stop everything that moves and walks and runs. Do you want to be treated like that? I would think not. So we're really trying to be a lot more strategic about how we go about investigating crimes using all of the technology that's available to us, either through social media, and trust me, criminals are really interesting because they really like to brag about what they do. So we're on social media websites and our intel is there. We're gathering so much more information so much faster nowadays. So we're really excited about that. As far as our crime suppression strategy goes, and this is the thing that I know that as a boss I need to work on better, is getting out and letting people know what we've taken off the street. So this year we started our Operation Safer and Stronger and our Firearms Strike Team. We like acronyms all day at the police department, so FAST is our latest effort. But since January, we've removed 81 guns off the street. 81, you guys. 39 of those were as a result of stopping for criminal activity. And then the remainder were either for safekeeping. If we go to a house where someone's trying to commit suicide or where there's domestic violence or other things, we'll remove those guns and take those guns for safekeeping. So what we found over last year's increase in crime and violent crime is that the common denominator was guns. Now we're definitely not going to look for those of you in the audience who are licensed to keep and carry a gun. We're not looking for people like that. But what we found is that the bad guys are able to get guns. And we're looking at ways to figure out how to get, track, keep, and make sure those guns are off the street. But the interesting part is our officers didn't even know gun laws. And you would expect cops to know what the gun laws are, wouldn't you? So what we've done with our firearm strike team is that we've taken within our own existing resources, and you're going to hear me say that a couple of times, no additional resources, taken within our own existing resources and creating a firearm strike team that's intelligence-based, enforcement-based, and education-based. So we're working with the Department of Justice and the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms team to come in and train us on what the gun laws are, train the officers, and at the same time get weapons and guns off the street. I talked to you again about the post-release offender program, AB 109 and AB 117. Unfortunately, Oxnard is #1 in this category too. So we are the #1 recipient of all those individuals in Ventura County who've been released. And what it is that this is where they claim their residence to be prior to going into custody. The PRO program, we've assigned an officer from our department, again, using existing resources, to work with the rest of the county in order to track the folks who are on the post-release offender list. There are 3 different regions: Oxnard region, Ventura region, and then East County. So every law enforcement agency in the county has put in one person to help with this effort along with the sheriff's office. So again, the good thing about this program though is that we were able to receive funding for that position from the CDC or from the correctional department in Sacramento. So we're excited about that effort. We've seen a number of arrests. We haven't seen a lot of arrests. It's mainly for tracking. Lastly, at the bottom, you see that we have the countywide law enforcement effort. And I've been in public safety for, holy smoke, man, 25 years now that I think about it. I've never seen this type of partnership between and among law enforcement entities. I can pick up the phone and call Ventura PD, City PD, the Sheriff's Office, and get help and assistance, and we're all in a really great partnership together, and I think that benefits us as a community. So I know everyone doesn't live in Oxnard, but do know that we have an exceptional partnership, and it may have been the same way, Tom, when you were there, so we're really blessed and fortunate to have that type of partnership. What I don't have up here is our latest countywide effort, and it's called the Serious Habitual Offender Program. So every county agency is really tracking its top 10 folks who either committed property crime, narcotic crime, and we're tracking those efforts and trying to begin to see a difference. Remember in the previous slide I talked about how property crime is the main driver of our crime stats? Well, why do you think people are committing burglaries and stealing things? Why do you think? Drugs, exactly. They have a drug habit. They're trying to support that drug habit. They need to get money to buy drugs to do things, so that's why they're breaking into our homes, our businesses, and our cars to obtain things. So another common denominator is trying to track and find those individuals who are in our top 10s throughout the county and make arrests. So hopefully, in the next 2 months or so, you'll see a countywide effort talking about our successes as far as the Serious Habitual Offender Program goes. When you talk about law enforcement, you just can't talk about crime. You have to talk about service, in my opinion, and you have to talk about what we as a law enforcement agency are doing to give back. And oftentimes people would say that's the softer side of law enforcement and policing, and maybe you're doing that because you're a girl chief as opposed to a guy chief. It's okay to say the G word, girl is okay. I will tell you, when I talk to law enforcement entities throughout the country, last week I was in New York City meeting with the Community-Oriented Policing Office, where we addressed and talked about how law enforcement agencies can better partner with folks in giving back and in serving. So it's definitely the buzz around the country. What you see here are pictures of Mike Core, who's in the middle. Use the pointer. Mike Core, who's in the middle. I don't know if you guys know Mike Core. How many people know Mike? Mike is this big, burly beast of a human being. He looks like a stinking linebacker from an NFL football team. Okay, that's how big this guy is. Kindest, most gentle tart you will ever see 2-year-old girl's bike was taken and stolen. Mike, because he has this big heart, literally went to Target, bought a bike, took the bike right back to the girl. Now, does Mike have to do that? No, Mike doesn't have to do that. Has he made an impact on this girl and her family and everyone who knows her through generations? Absolutely. So what we're trying to do is change the face and change how people feel and look at law enforcement to be those true partners and those people that you come to when you need help and assistance. And even though a bike may seem so minuscule, to her it meant the world and meant the difference to her. On the very far left, you'll see in this picture, Mike Wood. Mike is one of the best beat coordinators that I think that we have. He's very engaged in the community. Mike went out on a traffic call, and the traffic call was an accident. The family was on their way to an Easter Sunday dinner, and Easter Sunday is coming back on their way to Easter Sunday dinner, had an accident, had a cake. The cake was demolished in the accident. So what Mike did, seemingly small gesture, right? He goes to the grocery store, buys a cake, takes the cake to the family's Easter activity. Both of those events went viral, unlike some of the cool, sexy things that our SWAT guys do, right? So it's just the darndest thing. This is what the community is looking for when they look at police officers. They expect us to arrest bad guys, put people in jail, and take the reports. That's the expectation. What they desire and want is the service piece and showing that connection that police officers can and have made with people in the community. Lastly, I do want to talk about our Explorer program. If any of you, and I know my barber's in the audience, if any of you have had any activities in the city of Oxnard, our Explorers are amazing. They are the youth between 14 and 20-ish or so who think, maybe in the back of their minds, that they want to be police officers. So we run them through a training program. They're volunteers in our agency, and just about anything we ask these kids to do, they do, and they're amazing. They're just great individuals and human beings. So our Explorers are so awesome that they won first place in a couple of activities and events and competitions. And anytime I can talk about how wonderful the Explorers are, I do. And I would guess, Mike, that you agree that you think that they're just as amazing as I do. So those are just some of the things that we look at. At the top, you'll see protecting our community with exceptional service, and that's our mission statement. I get talked at, or talked to, I don't know the proper terminology, at council oftentimes by lovely people in the community who want to make me their best friends often, about saying how, and that was facetiously speaking, if you watch council, yeah, it's real special. That's why I wear a vest all the time. When people come to the podium and they say a police officer has been rude to you, this has happened, I always let them know, if I can, that we have a bar, and that bar is being exceptional. You don't want a law enforcement officer to be mediocre, do you? I hope you don't. Mr. Storage Guy, you don't want your employees to be mediocre, do you? I'm just trying to make sure you're awake. You don't want people to be exceptional. People know how much money we make, and money isn't the main driver for this job, but when you look at a budget in the city, most of it goes to who? It goes to public safety. I think rightfully so, it goes to public safety. And I think that because if you're not safe, if when you pick up the phone and call 911, we don't respond, do you have a safe community? No, you don't. You're not able to have businesses. You're not able to have a fertilizing business. Heck, you may not be able to have a chain if you don't have public safety. So we are striving for that level of exceptional service. And I think for the most part in the previous slide and in this slide, you see and show that our guys and gals are doing stuff every day. We talked a little bit about community-based policing and the community-based policing philosophy. Community-based policing is getting the community engaged with you together as a partner in law enforcement. When I told you I've been in law enforcement for 25 years or so, I can remember when I first started, it was all about kicking butt, taking names, and I've changed my vernacular because you guys are professionals. But it was about putting bad guys in jail. I didn't have to be customer service friendly to you when I took you to jail. What I found in being a younger police officer, a much thinner police officer too, younger officer, is that I knew I couldn't fight my way out of all situations. So I grew up in Phoenix, grew up in the Phoenix Police Department, rose from officer to assistant chief there before coming here. But as a young officer, I found myself having to way through situations. Because I would be the only person there. This guy outweighed me by about 100 pounds. I had to use a lot of discussion and a lot of talking to get people in the back of the car. But that is what community-based policing is having that no longer that kick butt take names philosophy. It's really figuring out a way how we can use the storage facility or how you can use us to be partners in the community addressing crime. How I can ask for donation from the Boys and Girls Club at an upcoming event and people seeing the partnership between police and the Boys and Girls Club. That's what community-based policing is. It's also, though, giving you responsibility to kind of let us know what you see going on in your community and or you sharing with your neighbors what's going on in your community. We had a conversation at the table about nextdoor.com, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Nextdoor.com is our new website that we launched a couple of months ago. So there are 40 plus neighborhoods in the city of Oxnard. 38 of those now are active in what's called nextdoor.com. You log onto this website, you assign yourself as a captain or a head of your neighborhood. How many nextdoor.comers do we have? Okay, that's awesome. It's a start. What businesses can do, and we talked a little bit about this, the chamber can be its own neighborhood. The storage facility can be its own neighborhood. The harbor can be its own neighborhood. So we're inviting people to log into nextdoor.com to feed information in on what's going on in your community. We check that site all the time to get information to us about what's going on in the community. And in turn, we push information from our Facebook page onto nextdoor.com so you all will know what's going on as well. So again, education is power. Knowing what's going on is powerful, so you'll know the trends that are going on in your community. How many people are on Facebook? How many people like Facebook? You guys go. Facebook is crazy. It's actually a way I can keep up with my kid to make sure that he's not doing too many crazy things too. Too many, at least not tweeting it or posting it on the Facebook page. Facebook, we found, has been an amazing tool in gathering and pushing out information. Remember I told you earlier that criminals are not the smartest folks? That they want to brag about all the things that they've done? We've been able to resolve crimes by checking Facebook pages and posts and pictures and have been able to apprehend people. I think that's awesome. If you're dumb enough to put your information on the internet, we're going to be smart enough to use that information to put you in jail. So I think that's what you guys can't tell the bad guys have. Last but not least, again in our community-based policing philosophy, this past year we had the first Spanish-speaking Citizens Police Academy in the city of Oxnard. Arduous task, definitely a lot of work on behalf of our agency's part. But what was so amazing about this program, we now have the Department of Justice who has taken our curriculum and is willing to go around the nation and help people across the country with that type of community engagement and involvement. So we're really excited about all that. And I'm almost done. We have leadership at all levels. I am definitely someone who believes that if you can take care of a problem at your level, regardless of what that level is in the organization, please do. As long as it's in the best interest of the city and the community and of the department, and you do know that the ranking that I had, city, community, department. I can remember starting when people thought the department was the most important entity. We are a service-based organization. If we don't put you first, then we're not doing what we're supposed to do as a law enforcement entity. So today, in an hour or so, we'll graduate the largest academy class that we've had in a long time. So we'll have 15 today that we're going to promote and swear in. Really excited about that. And then I do want to point out Derek Miller, who is here on the far left. Derek came up with a great idea in order to push out DUI checkpoints. How many have had the fortune or misfortune of having to go through a DUI checkpoint? Yeah, so sometimes it seems like an inconvenience, but it's really a way to make sure that our community and our city is safe. And so what Derek has done is he's upped the ante from having just a regular checkpoint to having memorial checkpoints, to having that checkpoint have meaning to a family and meaning to a community. So he finds community members who've had a loved one to die as a result of a DUI, and we make that checkpoint for the night that person's checkpoint. And Derek came up with that idea, and it's an amazing idea. I have great people who work for this agency and very, very proud of them. Last but not least, again, we have our Operation Safer and Stronger initiative this year that talked about our firearms strike team. Definitely talking a lot more about community engagement. We have Campaign for Partners in Public Safety, or our crime prevention series is what we have. And I want to make sure I read my notes because we have 2 of them coming up. What we're finding is that our community members are becoming more engaged. When the community becomes more engaged, they give us information. When they give us information, we take that information, make arrests, complete reports. So it's this all-encompassing picture of us doing our job more efficiently and more effectively. And that's why we're calling it Safer and Stronger. You are helping, we are showing you how to be safer and stronger in community. So our next seminars are going to be April 17th at Channel Islands High School. And then the second one is going to be April 18th at Wainimi High School, starting at 5 o'clock. And what we do is we tell you what the latest trends are. So some of our crime prevention series have been identifying and reporting suspicious activity in your neighborhood, and or it could be residential or community burglaries, it could be auto burglaries, it could be violent crime in your neighborhood. So our crime prevention series is dictated around that. And last but not least, it is very important to talk about partnerships we have with people who don't normally think that they're supposed to have relationships with law enforcement. The Mexican Council has been an amazing partner with us to deal with those folks in our community who don't speak English. We're trying to build that trust between law enforcement and that community. The Mexican Council has been amazing in assisting us with that. I want to close with the positives. I started with, oh my gosh, this is what's going on with crime in the city. Last but not least, hopefully you all saw this. In the Moboto.com website, they said that we were one of the safest cities in the country. In spite of all of the drama that we had going on with crime statistics, we were still one of the safest cities last year. And then we were the 16th safest city in America in the Business Insider too. So do we have things to work on and do we have things to do? Absolutely. I would not be willing to rest if I didn't think we needed to do more. But on the flip side, I really do think that we're being better engaged, providing better customer service for people that we serve. And I hope you feel the same way too. So that concludes my presentation. I have time to entertain questions and answers, but how about we take about 2 minutes?
Chief,
Yes.
I know that 5 or 6 years ago, the department really hung, and I think I already know the answer to this question, but hung the phrase zero tolerance concerning gangs. I don't see that a lot anymore, but I know that you certainly must still have that.
So that's a great question. Zero tolerance. We still have limited tolerance for gang activity. The challenge and the problems now are, it's a delicate balance of having zero tolerance and having this all-encompassing net, while at the same time having community organizations like LULAC and like others who are saying that we're picking on individuals because there are a certain ethnicity. So we've worked with educating our officers to treat people with dignity and respect, but at the same time still putting people on that gang injunction list because we still have an active gang injunction. So that gang injunction is still there, we're still using it as a tool. I will tell you, I think we have zero tolerance. The challenge has become that the criminals are getting a lot smarter than we are. They're using technology to their advantage. And I don't know if you guys have adult children or grandchildren or teenagers. As soon as we're driving by in the community, you know what they do. They're texting. They're texting and they're tweeting, so they're getting a lot smarter. So I will say that I still think we do have zero tolerance. It just has to be packaged a lot differently so that we're not violating others' rights, because I'll tell you, I don't want to be subject to a consent decree. I don't want to have the U.S. Department of Justice coming and telling me how to run my agency. So we're really trying to figure out hard how to balance that. So that's a very, very good question. Okay, thank you very much.
Here for you.
Nice. Thank you all for listening. Oh, Nancy, I did want to say, if you're a business and you are interested in logging on to nextdoor.com, please do. You can develop your own neighborhoods and your own businesses. That's a way for you to know what's going on in your area and community. And we're still focused on increasing crime. Hopefully in the next couple days or so, we'll definitely use our tactics in order to arrest some of the folks who have been involved in some of the homicides that we've had in the next couple days. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeri. And I have to say that I had an incident at my home a couple weeks ago and called dispatch. and within 3 minutes, there were 2 cars out there. It was a minor thing, but it made me feel better that they were very responsive, so good job. At this time, Holly Nash, our Director of Business Development, will come up and introduce some new members.
Good morning, good morning. If you can tell from sitting down, we are getting the sunshine. Woo! We were talking at the table though how we sort of felt like maybe we were with the clouds where we were maybe taking a trip. Felt like we were in an airplane. I'm stealing your material. And it was so cool because you just felt like, oh yeah, I'm up in the clouds. It's very ethereal. But back to reality, the sun is out, so. I am excited to be able to talk about new members, and it's obviously my job, but I do want to first and foremost thank all of you who bring me exciting information, exciting leads, folks that you think should be a part of this organization. It's a fantastic organization, and I've been involved with Chambers for many, many years, and I just really feel like it's a growing, amazing organization, and I think we're the best. Not that I'm biased. Okay. So, I did want to announce some of our new members that we have not announced before, and then we have one that I'd like to ask to come up and talk about the business. So, some of our new members are Anderson Construction, Antera Energy Services, Inc., Caliber Collision Center, Jeanette Lombardo, Smart Shuttle, the Yacht Club at Channel Islands, and the one I'd like to invite to come up and speak is Ventura County Fusion, Robert Gillette.
Good morning, my name is Robert Gillette, and Chief, that was very informative and hilarious, so thank you. But we are Ventura County Fusion. Our players are from 19 to 22, and they actually are in a feeder pool that goes to Major League Soccer. So they are Major League Soccer stars of tomorrow. So our season starts May 9th. Come check us out. It's very affordable. One of my jobs is to beef up the family fun and the entertainment. And so that means also sometimes out in the community, if you see our Fusion Fox around, that might be me, so be nice to him. I know, right? So anyway, come check us out, Ventura County Fusion. We play at the Ventura College Stadium, and our season starts May 9th. So thank you very much.
All right, he got the enthusiasm pill this morning. I love that. It's got me going. I wanted to also next talk about the host committee. First, I'd like to invite all of our members of the host committee to stand, and if we could give them a round of applause. Thank you. The host committee works hard, and a lot of what we do is taking our folks who are new members and bringing them in, making them feel comfortable. The folks that have been members for a while, that are within their first year, we also connect with them to find out, how's it going? How are you feeling about your membership? What can we do to help you be more involved, get more out of your membership? We're starting to ask questions like, what are your expectations? We want to know from the beginning. We don't want to disappoint because we didn't know what you wanted, and we didn't fulfill that. We're really starting to be proactive and to say, hey, what are your expectations? What can we do for you? And as current members, or as potential members in the room, I would encourage all of you to give me that feedback, give all of us that feedback as well. It's important for us to know whether you've been a member for 30 years or 3 weeks. It's important for us to know, are we meeting your expectations? If we are, awesome. If we aren't, how can we better do that? Because that's part of what we need to do, what we want to do. Now, with the host committee, we actually have a little-known secret. The members of the host committee, we get the scoop on all the new members. We get to know who they are, where they are, what they do. We get to go give them our business, maybe before you even know they exist or exist as chamber members. And I say that because I really encourage you to say, hey, that'd be a great way for me to get to know new members. That'd be a great way for me to get some outreach, some networking. Let me talk to people who I have not met before. So I ask you to consider being on the host committee because it is a great outreach for you and your business, and also a fantastic active arm of the chamber. I think we want to move on to some door prizes. So, John, would you come on up for me, please? Okay. Sure. That sounds great. Okay, so our first door prize is from Montgomery Self-Storage, and it's a gift certificate.
To Five Guys.
To Five Guys, excellent. Woo!
Healthy, good. And just to mention too, we've got 23 prizes tonight at the grand opening. So,
Wow.
Tonight, and like Disneyland passes, bunch of so what?
A cruise.
Cruise Island. So again, gorgeous fun.
Wow.
So come tonight.
Wow. All right, so the gift certificate to Five Guys. Anthony. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Forgive me, Anthony. Another gift certificate from Montgomery Self-Storage.
Five Guys.
To Five Guys. Sheila Kruger, welcome wagon. Right, Sheila. Oh. Yeah, there's something about that table. I don't know.
Great.
Better mix it up.
I've really mixed it.
All right. From Port Directions, Anthony Taramina, a $25 gift certificate. Lynette Wood. And Marine Emporium Landing, Steve Binger, a $50 gift certificate.
To the water side.
To the water side. Woo! Michael Winsong. Well, thank you very much for your contributions and for the opportunity to share with you. One more thing I would like to say as we talk about membership is I was counting in our newsletter, our latest newsletter, the number, obviously I'm interested in bringing new members in, but I think it's important to look at the list of members who have re-upped their memberships. We have 31 just re-upped their memberships just this month. And the longest commitment is 62 years to the chamber. Amazing. So just want you to keep that in mind as well as we continue to grow. We do need to continue to have your support and your continued contributions. Thank you.